Greetings of peace, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Mona Shirbini, a medical doctor at Cairo University, Egypt, and the director of the MRN, the Mentoring Research Network. Together with Tajuddin Yusuf, the MRN research manager, and Aminat Adibayo, our distinguished MRN member, we will be holding this meeting to discuss scientific research writing and the ethical use of AI. But first, let me set the stage for this topic because the land of research writing is undergoing a severe shift driven by the advent of OpenAI deep research tool. And we will share with you in the chat box this link about introducing deep research by OpenAI. And this is designed to transform the way knowledge is gathered, analyzed, and communicated. And against this backdrop, we stand on the cusp of this new era, and it's imperative to ask, are we prepared to navigate the ethical and intellectual challenges that accompany such transformative and artificial power of AI? Join me today to welcome Tajuddin Yusuf. Tajuddin Yusuf is a microbiologist and epidemiologist with great interest in addressing the public health threats attributed to zoonotic infectious diseases in a holistic One Health lens. As an early career researcher and research manager at the Mentoring Research Network, he has published about 40 articles in international peer-reviewed journals and has attended both international and local conferences aimed at addressing zoonotic infectious diseases, arboviruses, and other tropical One Health issues at the interface of human, animal, and the environment health. Through this course of research, he had contributed on projects from prestigious organizations such as Institute of Advanced Medical Research and Training, OHDI, and has received grants from organizations like NIHR in the UK, ASM, and the RSTMH Wellcome Trust, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He is the present American Society for Microbiology, ASM, Young Ambassador to Nigeria. Currently, he is working as a qualified person for pharmacovigilance for Vitrus Pharmaceuticals, a division of Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. And about his affiliations, he's based at the Department of Epidemiology and Medical Statistics, Faculty of Public Health, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan in Nigeria. So welcome, Tajuddin Yusuf. And also we have our moderator for this session, Aminat. Aminat is a NDC Outreach Coordinator at Care About Climate, and she's based at the University of Ibadan, also in Nigeria. So welcome, Yusuf. We are sharing the screen and we can start our session right now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Muna, for the introduction, and welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome to this important discussion on the intersection of scientific research writing and the ethical use of artificial intelligence, AI. We all know that we are living in a time of rapid use of artificial intelligence. I'm sure like every one of us has used AI in one way or the other this way. For example, me, I use Gemini a lot. Maybe not ChatGPT, but I use Gemini. And the field of scientific research, with its rigorous demands for accuracy, clarity, and originality, is no exception. People will be using it in one way or the other. So today we'll be exploring how AI is already impacting the process of scientific writing, from assisting with literature reviews and data analysis to even generating text. And we'll also be looking at the academic integrity and how we can prevent plagiarism while using AI. And we also aim that through this discussion, we'll be able to address the potential biases that are embedded within AI algorithms. And we have this speaker, our researcher here with us, Tajuddin Yusuf. So Tajuddin Yusuf, kindly say hello to our audience.
Okay, let me just share my video. So, hello everyone. Good evening. So, this is Tajuddin Yusuf Amuda. So, it's Dr. Mona has actually done the introduction as well as Aminat. So, and today I'll be discussing on research writing and ethical use of AI in research writing. AI has come here to stay, and we have to make use of it in one way or the other. So today that's what my presentation will be based on. So I'll first take us through the course of research writing. Then the second phase of the presentation will focus on the use of AI in research writing and how we can leverage this tool ethically in research writing. So thank you so much for sharing my slide. So for you to for we to enjoy this presentation, I would like to switch off my video because I wouldn't want any issues with the network disruptions and all. So so join me as we move forward. So course, what is research? So basically I am very sure that most of us that we are joining this session today is either we are students of knowledge or we are researchers in academia trying to understand one or two things about research writing and the importance of AI use in research writing, as well as the ethical use of AI in research writing. So when we talk about research, research is basically a systematic process. Mark the word systematic. It's a process that has to be done systematically. So it's a systematic way of investigating and observe phenomenon in order to add to the existing body of knowledge. If you observe a particular as a researcher, you have some of the attributes that you need to have is observational skills. So you must have the ability to be able to observe changes in your environment. And once you are able to observe this change, you tends to try to investigate what actually brought about these changes, and in order to add to the existing body of knowledge. If you observe in your environment, for instance, as a public health researcher, you maybe, for instance, you observe a change in the maybe there is a particular outbreak of infectious disease in your environment. As a researcher, what you need to do is try to know about the source of the outbreak, what causes the outbreak, and how can we address this outbreak. So the process of you doing that is known as research. So, but then the act of you putting all these process together, the process of investigating this particular outbreak, the methodology you use, at the end of the day, your findings, the process of you putting everything together in a systematic way is by leveraging on previously published paper is known as research writing. So research writing, so that is basically what research writing is all about. So you observing a phenomenon, reporting it, and then trying to compare your findings, reporting it systematically, and by way of trying to compare your findings with previously published paper. So it is known as research writing. So every one of us here knows about writing, but research writing is actually different from other forms of writing. So what actually makes research writing stand out is due to the style. Some of the elements that makes research writing stand out is are listed below. One of it is the style of writing. So the style of writing, the language you use, evidence-based, and the citation. So when we talk about the style of writing, so writing, unlike our normal writing, like general writing, research writing is actually targeted, and it's specifically focused on particular group of people. Like you are not talking to the general audience. You might be talking to a particular group of people. You might be investigating a particular cause of disease. You are actually specific to what you are investigating. Unlike writing something generic that everyone can actually read about. So when we now talk about the styles, So the style we use in academic writing differs from the style we use when we are talking about a general writing. So in scientific writing, we usually employ a formal and technical tone. So we use different kinds of terminology, abbreviations, and tone that is specific to the field that you are investigating. The kind of abbreviations that are used in medical field actually differs from the abbreviations that we use in engineering field. So, and this is not, so this makes it stand out from normal generic write-up. If you're writing article on, okay, for instance, you want to write article about, okay, what is food? You know, that is generic. We understand that. But when you are trying to, for instance, you are investigating a particular cause of disease, there are some terminologies that you'll be using, such as epidemic, such as prevalence, incidence. These are not generic to the population. So you understand. So the styles that you adopt has to be technical tone. And then some of the jargons that we use, which are specific to that particular field that you are trying to investigate. So another thing is the language we use. So the language, I think I've explained that. So the language we use in academic writing is always technical. And then another thing is evidence-based. So academic research writers actually make use of evidence-based by leveraging published articles. This is for them to be able to convince their audience that, okay, the point they are making is actually valid. So because you have to cite existing study that to be able to back up your claim. You cannot just come and tell us that vaccine is not working, or vaccine is doing this, or it has so effect. You have to come up with evidence linking that vaccine is actually posing this particular threat. You understand? You can't come up with a conspiracy theory, or you come up with a kind of information that is not right. You have to make sure that you back up your claim with evidence. So unlike any other article that we can find online, if you go on if you go on the internet, you see countless of articles there. So, but then in scientific community, before an article will be accepted, you have to make sure that you back up your claim, or whatever evidence that you are proposing, you back it up with existing studies. So another thing is the citation. So when we're in academic writing, I think I've also explained that. So in academic writing, you have to use a detailed citation process in order to be able to show to your reader that, okay, this is where you get your evidence. This is where you get the evidence that supports your claim, where the evidence that supports your claim is coming from. So unlike most type of non-academic research writing, so you have to provide a great details of citation, where you find your evidence, where the evidence is coming from. So the process of you trying to get evidence and then citing the evidence in academic style, there's a way you do your citations. You can't just provide citations anyhow. So we soon get to that. So the process of doing this is known as citation, or citing of evidence. So although for people coming to for people who are new in the process of academic research writing, it can be somehow confusing, right? But it's not really something hectic. So, because it's very important to explain to your reader that this is where my evidence is actually coming from. So writing research papers involve long days of reading and weighing of evidence. So it is a time-taking process, but worthwhile. So you cannot just sit down now and decide to okay, I want to write this particular paper on this, and then you write, the process of you gathering your evidence, downloading research paper, trying to review the articles, trying to put everything together, doing the citation and everything. It's actually, it's a long process, but then, to be honest, it is worth the time. So what are the importance of research and research writing? So the first is to expand existing body of knowledge. It is very important to expand the existing body of knowledge. Look at the instance, the issue of AI that I mentioned the other time. There are some, like, in few years ago, there are so many information on this AI, but then it's actually undergoing a kind of will I say, try and error. So because people are trying to, like, those researchers in terms of those doing research on AI, they are trying to test it to see what AI can do for us, how AI can help in our day-to-day activity. So if there is no any research being conducted, we will not be able to understand that, okay, today we can use AI in research writing. AI can actually help us in our decision making. You understand? So we have to expand existing body of knowledge. If we fail to do a research, we will not be able to progress. So just like the case of malaria vaccine, for the past few years, there are several research clinical trials ongoing. People are trying to look for a way to a clinical trial to make sure there is a vaccine to address the public health threat posed by malaria. And today, we are able to, like, we have the R21 vaccine, which has been proven to be effective against malaria. So this is showing that the body of knowledge is actually expanding through the research that we are doing. So another thing is to provide latest information about discovery. If we do research, we'll be able to, like, get another information, because things are changing every day. If you do a particular research today and you get this result, another person might do the research in let's say 5 years to come, and then such findings might be different from the one you did. So in that case, we're able to, like, get latest information about discovery. So that's another way, another importance of conducting research. So to enhance societal development by advancing knowledge through evidence based. So we do research in order for us to we do research to ensure there is societal development. Epidemics, infectious disease are actually slowing down the public health progress, right? But then if we're able to, like, address some of these issues, the issues with malnutrition, the issue with epidemics, the issue with infectious disease as a whole, and other public health threats, we are able to, like, ensure enhance societal development, because some of the funding that will be directed at other infectious disease and all might be directed at developing the society, especially in terms of the public health infrastructures and all. So it also fosters critical thinking as well as analytical skill. So when you conduct research, you'll be able to think for yourself, okay, what if I adopt this methodology? What if I do this? What if I do that? You'll be able to, like, think, and you'll be able to, like, improve your analytical skills that, okay, if I put this together with this, I should be able to get this. If I do this, I should be able to get this. So another thing is enhanced research skills, your ability to, like, investigate and ensure that you are able to get the right findings. Please, the next slide. Okay, so what are the steps in research writing process? So the steps in research, these are just the steps in research writing process. So the first step in academia or anywhere, when you are trying to write a research paper, you have to follow, there are some steps that you need to follow. So although the process of writing is actually not that easy and it's not straightforward as people might like to think. So you have to come up with idea, but then even if you come up with idea, you may want to go back to your original idea, make changes, like, you understand. So that is who we are as humans. We tend to, like, think, what if
Yusuf, I guess we lost you.
I think there is something wrong with Yusuf's network, but hopefully it joins soon.
Yeah, so in the meantime, for our audiences, maybe you can drop in the chat box your expectations about this session. And if any questions arise, please type them in the chat box until Yusuf resume his
Yes, please.
presentation.
If there is any question that has popped up in your mind since our presenter started presenting, please drop it in the chat box. And if you would like any clarification, to drop it in the chat box or any addition to what has been said before, you can drop it in the chat box. Thank you.
And also, it will be very interesting if you shared with us any experiences you've been writing before and trying to publish your work before, or is it like very new information for you about how to proceed on scientific writing in a fundamental way? So also let
Hello.
us know about this. Yeah, Yusuf,
Yes,
please.
welcome back, Yusuf. Your network,
Oh,
we stopped
yes.
hearing you.
Yes. That's true. So I hope you can hear me now. So what are the steps in the scientific writing process? So the first step is you choosing your topic, and when you choose topic, this means you have to brainstorm. You have to like speak with your okay, you have to speak with your maybe your colleagues, so or maybe someone who actually have interest in what you are doing. So in that case, you ask yourself a specific research question. You understand that would guide your research, and then you may also you propose a research question and all. So those are the key elements of you choosing a topic. Those are the key elements that surrounds choosing a topic. So you have to come up with topic of interest that you would like to investigate. And the next is you plan schedule time to research and write. So like I said, research writing can actually be quite intensive, and it takes quite number. It's not easy, like it's not that linear. It may even take weeks, months to complete. So you before you start researching your topics, you have to take times to like do your research, download journal articles, do your literature review, and then so that you'll be able to like you'll be able to like come up with most of the right information that you need. So and even during this process, you have to like make sure if you are used to maybe flowchart, calendar, or any other tools that you need to organize your writing process, you can leverage on those. So the third step is conduct research. So when you are conducting your research, are you conducting a primary study? Are you conducting a secondary study? So you leverage journals and other documents to make sure that you get your source right. And we have different databases that you can use, the likes of PubMed, Scopus, Embase, and all. You can find the articles you need there. So organize research ideas. So the next step is organize research and ideas. So you organize your research. This is actually a very important step. So you need to read through your research. You have to take note of important things in your research. You highlight the facts and make sure that to take note of anything that might be very important in your research. So in this particular stage, it is very important for you to like organize your findings and then make sure you decide on which particular source that is that exactly which particular source is relevant in your paper. So you have to weigh the evidence. This is the point that you weigh the evidence that you've collected, and then you determine which one supports the focus of your research. So you may at the end of it, even later on, you may decide to like uh adjust or do additional research to make sure that okay, your what you've done is right. So drafting your paper, so which is the last phase. So this is the phase. You've done your research, you've done your findings, you have all your resources. So at this stage, you are ready to combine all the findings that you have in your research with a critical analysis of your results. So in this case, you have to be like incorporating some of the sources that you have from the downloaded papers. You have to discuss some of these sources thoroughly, and this is where you do that in the discussion aspect of your research. And so please, the next so I think I've explained some of this. Can we move to the next slide? So I mentioned this, that when you conduct research, we have two major sources, the primary sources and the secondary sources. When we talk about primary sources, you're actually investigating, you are getting the data yourself. You understand? You are the primary investigator of that study. So, and this can either be through interview, or you do a kind of survey, or you do a focus group discussion. Like you are the you have more you have more power on the project, on the research that you are doing. Like you are the one getting the data. You have more influence on that project. You are the one gathering the data yourself. The data has not been collected before. But in secondary sources, we have the data already. So you are just, is either you are leveraging that data to come up with your own findings. So in primary sources, this is common with using your questionnaire to collect data, or doing focus discussion or interview to get data from participants. But in secondary sources, you have the data already. The data might be available in database. You have data already, maybe for instance, malaria data sets now, or a data set on HIV. You are just leveraging that data. Probably you are analyzing that data to get a particular, maybe you are looking forward to answer a particular research question, and you are leveraging that data to be able to get your findings. So some of you have to use those sources that are strongly related to your research, and then don't force evidence. What I mean by don't force evidence is, if this particular evidence suggests that the prevalence of malaria in this particular area is 10.6, you have to report it that way. Even if you are looking for a more higher prevalence, you don't have to force evidence or try to alter your data to fit what you are looking for. Please, the next slide. So now that your journal article now that your manuscript is ready, you've done everything, you've conducted your research, you have your article written already by following these guidelines in research, like the IMRAD. You have your introduction written, you have your methodology written, you have your results section, and you have your discussion section. So now the next thing for you is to identify relevant journals and follow the requirements. So after putting everything together, but then I would recommend that before you for a new starter, I will say this: before you look for a journal and start formatting your article, the best thing for you to do is to make sure that you have a journal. You are able to select a journal that will publish your research before formatting, because so as to save yourself from save yourself from stress. So if you're able to identify a journal, okay, this particular journal publishes article on health information, and you know that, okay, your article fits in there. Just look at the requirements and format your article to suit the requirements of that journal. So, and this is always available in the journal page. So there's always author's information. So this you see maybe the kind of font style the journal needs, the reference style that the journal needs, the word count, and every other thing that the journal needs. So after checking through that, you format your article in line with the requirements of that journal to avoid rejection. So So the next, okay, now, so so that's the first part of the presentation. So is just about the research writing process, and now we are now on the second aspect of the research writing, which is sorry, okay, so which is AI in scientific writing. So what do we mean by AI in science? I think in one way or the other, we've used AI like our moderator have said from the beginning of this presentation. So, but then what is AI? And then how is AI helping in scientific writing? What is the importance of AI in scientific writing? So AI, by defining it succinctly, AI is just the process of leveraging intelligent machine to mimic the human behavior. So it's just by we leveraging on a machine to a leveraging on intelligent machine to mimic the human behavior. So like just like we've seen in the past that the advent of calculators, whereby people were saying that okay, you instead of you doing this calculation yourself, we can use calculator to solve a mathematical problem. So this is just the case with AI that okay, instead of we doing this, we have a particular machine that can help us to do this as humans will do it. So artificial intelligence is an expansive and evolving field, and it encompasses intelligent machine capable of mimicking or even surpassing human behavior. So in this context, the focus is specifically on ethical is application of AI in scientific writing and ethical use of AI. So, but then before we move forward, I'd like us to differentiate between AI and automation. So, because there's actually a difference between them. When we talk about automation, automation actually operates on a finite set of predefined rules. So, but then for AI actually transcends this limitation by leveraging intelligence system that learn and adapt. So it learn and it will adapt with time. So this distinction is actually very important in understanding the capability of AI, particularly in enhancing our research writing process. So okay, so these are some of the common AI tools that we use in scientific research writing. I'm very sure if you are not familiar with others, you should be able to you should be familiar with the chat GPT. So which is the most common used AI tools used by even not only researchers, everybody uses it, like it's very common. Don't let me say everybody uses it. So it's common among the researchers as well as the non-researchers. So this is chat PDF, Zotero. So it's very common. Like it's very common now. And then we are seeing quite a number of AI tools that makes research writing and other tasks easier for people. So please the next slide. So, but then, like AI, the advent of AI is, like I said before, that it makes work easier and then make, especially for the researchers, you able to do things faster and more quickly. So, but then there is actually implications of using some of this AI in scientific writing. Like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about research writing, I said it is a systematic process that involved the key components of them, the IMRAD. You have to follow the IMRAD, the introduction, the methodology, the result, the discussion. Those processes are systematically, and there are ways you do it. There are ways you write. You can't just write anyhow. The tones you use, the style, the language, and everything. It has to be, you have to do it in a way that it will fit into the requirements of the scientific community or the journal you are targeting. But then using some of this AI these days, people are now using it. They're actually abusing this AI. And what are the implications of using AI in scientific writing? First, the ever increasing need for ethical standard in research writing. So there are some the organizations, the there are some in research writing, there is actually a need for ethical standard in research writing. And then the reason for this is because we are seeing increase in we are seeing increase in epidemics of predatory journals that are not actually following the ethical guidance in research. You see a paper submitted today, and then tomorrow the paper is published. You read those papers, you realize that this paper failed to pass through this paper failed to follow the normal ethical guidelines. You'll be seeing misinformation in such papers, like some full of errors, grammatical errors, and then inadequate scientific process, because most of these papers are not being, most of the research in those papers is either they are not conducted or they are conducted without following the adequate guideline. So there's also a significance of AI in author declaration. Researchers these days tends to conduct research leveraging AI, like just pump the topic into AI and ask AI to write such paper, then submitting that kind of research to a journal without authors declaring and the use of AI in their manuscript. I could remember this particular article that I read. I think it was published in this journal. I don't even remember the name of the journal. So the author now cites AI as a contributor. So, and then this is actually not in line with the author's declaration. How can you be citing AI in journal article? Because according to in I think ICME guideline for authorship, to qualify as author, you have to meet, individuals must meet 4 important criteria. The first is you have to make substantial contributions to the conception or the design of the work. The second is you have to draft or critically review the work for intellectual content. The third is you have to make sure you get a final approval of the fashion for the publications, because you have to review it and see everything before you give consent to, like, okay, publish this article. And then the third is you have to be accountable. You have to be responsible for all the aspects of the work. Now, tell me, how can you, this criteria, AI does not meet these 4 criteria. So how could you list AI as author when the tools you use fail to meet up with these 4 criteria? So another significance is the risk of misrepresentations and biases in research and academic writing. So there's always risk of misrepresentation and biases in research writing, because AI is giving out information based on a data set, based on a particular data set, which is actually not known to the users, but actually the maker of that AI. So you don't know, you actually don't know the kind of the level at which the data set has that particular information that you are requesting for. For instance, let's assume that the data set has limited information or knowledge on malaria, and then you are now asking you are now asking that kind of AI to provide you with a particular context of malaria. So there is actually risk of misrepresentation and biases in research. So, and then that is actually violating the ethics of research, which actually advocate for transparency and integrity in research. So deep fake research, like I mentioned earlier, the rising epidemic of predictory journals, like we having fake research, informations that are not existing. AI can come up with fabricated information, you understand? And then you publishing that kind of information, and we're using that information to make policies. That's actually a problem. That would definitely create a problem. So the rising threat of paper mill and predictory journal, I think I've mentioned this. So please, can we, the next slide? Okay, so limitations of limitations of AI. So biases in AI data sets. So like I mentioned earlier, AI systems are actually trained on data sets created by humans. So I may decide to like create a particular I may create a particular AI system now, and then train that AI on a particular data set. So it is a data set created by human, a data set, let's say a data set on malaria, a data set on zoonotic, a data set on malaria, a data set on cancer, a data set on HPV, and different kind of communicable and non-communicable disease. You understand? So now the selection of this data set can actually introduce subtle biases into the AI functionalities, and this may actually affect the fairness and accuracy of the output, especially when the data set fails to have limited information on the kind of fail to have limited findings on the kind of information that you are requesting for it. So if you just generate informations that are not existing, and if you want to try this, just check. If you ask AI to like, okay, provide me with information on this particular topic, and then provide references, just go and check the references and see if the references are correct. AI might might generate inappropriate references or references that are not existing. Even if you try to like try to ask the AI to look for a more genuine references for you. Basically, AI will just update the references, and then you try to search for the references and you realize that this is not existing. So this is biases in data set. And then another thing is AI error, which is hallucination. So AI system can actually produce inaccurate information. So, and this is known as hallucination. So, for instance, there is this paper published by Al-Kaisi and Ito. So the authors actually highlighted instances where AI generated false statements and provide the fabricated references. So this is actually showing us that the information from AI most times might not be correct, because in scientific writing, you have to make sure that your outputs are then backed up. What you have, your results or your information that you have as draft should be backed up with evidence. So if you are now providing us with information in which the references are not correct, then definitely it's information that is not existing. You just bring out the information from somewhere. And I think I can share this. There was this time I was speaking with someone. The person has gone to use ChatGPT to generate a research idea, and the person started conducting the research. Meanwhile, there is no existing paper on that research. So imagine you don't have you don't have a research. Imagine you don't have you don't have any evidence to back up. You don't have any evidence to back up your research. So that is really bad. So another thing is risk of plagiarism. So there is also risk of plagiarism in using AI, and I think this actually works by you trying to, for instance, now, if you write if you have a particular manuscript that you've written, and then you decided to like ask AI to help you address the grammar or any issue with that particular article. So AI tends to retain that kind of information. And then when you go ahead to go and check that your article, the article you wrote yourself, when you go ahead to check it with plagiarism too, you may be shocked that that particular draft of yours would have been plagiarized. So that is telling us that AI itself can actually AI itself can actually introduce plagiarism to our work. So please, can you hear me?
Yes, Yusuf, you can proceed.
Yes, we
Okay,
can
okay,
all
okay,
hear you.
okay. Thank you. So telling us that AI can actually um introduce we are at risk of plagiarism for using AI, because if you try to input information there, AI might tend to retain it, and then if you use it's more of you trying to contribute to AI, because any information that is going in there is not coming out again. You are like you the AI will retain this. And this is why I tell people, you don't paste information for AI to help you correct. So unlike the Grammarly and all these grammar tools, the likes of Turnitin itself as well. But some of the AI models created these days tends to like advance the data set by retaining your personal information. Meanwhile, the information, the companies that develop some of this AI, we don't know the kind of data set they use. So, but their data set has been configured in such a way to retain the information you are putting in there. So, another issue is lack of transparency. So, lack of transparency. And then before I go into this, I think I should mention the need for current and reliable data. So, like I mentioned earlier, so when you ask AI for updated references, it might recycle outdated information without providing any current insight. So, and this is showing us that is actually emphasizing that is actually important for us as researcher or as students of knowledge to ensure that um, the information generated by AI is actually we make sure that we try to cross-check and review the information generated by AI. So lack of transparency. So there is lack of transparency in information generated by AI because we actually don't know the source. We don't know the the person that we don't have a source. So if you don't have a source for information, then the information is not, you are not being transparent. So another thing is flawed conclusion. So AI will generate information. Like I told you, when you generate information that has no source, you have no evidence to back up your information, then the kind of conclusion that you have at the end of the day will be flawed, and that's actually a problem for our society, especially when you are making public health decisions or health related decisions. Like public health experts or even the healthcare professionals leverage AI to make decisions for themselves. And then if you are now relying on some of these conclusions or some of these findings from AI to make decisions, then we are actually we are not actually making a good progress. So as far as public health is concerned, can we move to the next slide, please? So now I think we've understand like some of the limitations and some of the limitations associated with the use of AI. We mentioned that. So, but then how can we use AI in scientific research ethically? The first is you have to check and validate reports generated by AI. You know, there are some AI tools that can even write a whole paper for you from A to Z. You have everything written for you. So, but then the onus lies on you as a researcher or student of knowledge to make sure that you have a comprehensive knowledge in that field. to check and validate the kind of report that is generated by AI. You understand? If AI provide you with information, you don't print that kind of information, or you don't submit that article directly to a journal. It is left on for you to sit down, review that information, and then try to cross-check that information with existing published article. You have to check and validate with the existing study to be sure that this report will not be implicating you. Because for any information you put out there as a researcher, you have you'll be bearing the responsibility. The responsibility of that published article lies on you. So if you are providing information to the public, or you are providing information to a specific group of people or a targeted community, and you are relying on AI and the information is false, definitely there's a problem. Because if that kind of information is used to influence public health intervention, we are in it. So researchers should disclose AI usage in scientific publication. I mentioned earlier that the criteria for authorship in scientific research is actually 4, and which I've explained. So, but then if you are using AI, if you use AI in any aspect of your research, either the introduction, is it the methodology, is it the research, is it the results section, is it the discussion, you have to disclose it. So that is showing that you are transparent in your research. It was in the methodology, just like we used to write our methodology, that you have to start with the study area, the selection criteria, the sampling techniques, and all. You have to mention the kind of AI you use, the model of AI you use, the year that AI was actually manufactured, the manufacturer of that AI. You understand? You have to mention everything about that AI and the part where the AI actually assists you, or where you leverage the AI to do your research. So review references generated by AI to ensure originality. Like I mentioned, most of the references cited by AI, if you try to cross-check online, you realize they are fake. So the models are built in that way. And then if you decide to use that, or maybe the information from the AI directly, you are contributing to data falsification, fabrication. You understand? When you have, for instance, you just ask AI, okay, conduct a research for me on malaria prevalence among under 5 children in so states. And you now have all the reports, everything, the data analysis, everything. You understand? You have everything, the full paper. You now decide to like publish it directly that way. You are contributing to data fabrication, because the information you are getting is not correct. So you have to review references, check the references to make sure that what you are having is original. So take responsibility for errors generated by AI. So you have to write a disclosure. If you use AI in your writing, you have to write a disclosure that, okay, for AI is used for this part of this research, and for any errors or any issues associated with this particular AI, you have to bear the responsibility, because you are the one who actually use the model. Or do we go and meet the manufacturer, or we go and meet the developer of AI, that okay, these errors from AI, the responsibility to bear lies with the developer? No, it is you, the researcher, who actually leverage the AI, that will bear the responsibility of the error caused by it. So disclose AI contribution in scientific research writing. I think I've mentioned it. So in summary, the thing is, you can actually make use of AI, but then you just have to make use of it as a way of to support what you are doing, possibly like generate idea, right? And then you have to make sure that you review some of this information. You have different AI tools that will help you to analyze your work, to do everything for you. But then you must also have knowledge in that area to be able to point out what is wrong from what is right. So you just don't get information and then you dump it directly and said you've concluded your research. So And in conclusion, so what I'll just say is AI in scientific writing can actually helps in improving the quality and efficiency of our article. It even reduces the rigorous timing involved in you conducting doing research writing. Like I mentioned, research writing can take days, weeks, months, even years. But then with the advent of AI, we are seeing rapid progress in uh, in publications availability or in draft availability. So, but then you have to make sure that some of these tools are used ethically. So, and then this is by you reviewing the output critically before you put it out there. So in the end, all authors will be held accountable to their publications. If you use AI and the information in the AI, if you fail to review the information in the AI and publish it out there, whatever happens, the authors will be held responsible. So in summary, we just have to make sure that we leverage these tools ethically, use them in such a way that they are meant to assist us. Just like you can use your calculator to do your mathematical problem, and at the same time, you understand what you are doing if at all there's any error. So when you are using AI, you have to be very smart while using it. And this is by you understanding the kind of subject area or a particular topic that you are trying to write about, and then reviewing the output generated by AI to make sure that the information you are putting out there is not what is not that the information you are putting out there is valid. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jesus, for this comprehensive and informative presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this. We could hear that it's an expert speaking. Thank you for sharing your expertise on this important topic, because research and AI are transforming our world. We all know that, and we all see that. And understanding their effective and ethical application is very important. And thank you for shedding light on this. I have some questions on my own, but I would now like to invite our important audience to ask their questions. So if you have any question, please kindly signify. You can drop it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and Yusuf would allow you to talk. So does anyone have a question? Okay, so while we are still waiting for our audience to ask their question, so I quickly have one question. When you were presenting, you made mention of time-taking process. Also, when you were concluding your presentation, you also made mention of time-taking process. I want to know, why is it the case? Why is it the case? And what aspects of the writing process contribute to this, the time-taking process? Please, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So, to be honest, like I mentioned earlier, that when you are trying to start a research writing, you the every aspect of research writing is actually time-taking process. And then if you can share my slide and see the steps taken in research writing process, can you do that so that I can? Okay, so can you share that? Hello. So okay, in the absence of that, so every aspect of research writing is actually time taking. From you trying to plan and schedule, from you trying to plan and do your scheduling. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you ask us to present the slide
Okay,
presentation,
okay.
or what?
Don't worry, it's fine.
Okay,
So
okay.
okay. So from you trying to plan, and from you doing your planning and scheduling, like research can actually take days, weeks, or even months to complete. So, and before you start researching your topic, the time it takes for you to plan your researching and writing schedule, like you just have to like the time taken to download your articles, to review them, to be able to identify a particular research problem that you are trying to solve. You understand? You may like at times you may even download more than 100 papers trying to read and trying to look for a research problem. I could remember then when a colleague of mine was trying to like the lecturer was like trying to tell him to go ahead and come up with a research topic, and then he was now to look for a research gap. So he had to do quite a lot of literature review in search of a research gap. And the lecturer was like, okay, you are unable, this is not a research gap that I'm looking. You've not identified any gap in this research. Just look for more articles and try to find a research gap. You understand? In the process of you reading articles, and you know, in particular articles at times, you may have like 20 pages, and just imagine downloading like 50 papers and then 20 pages, start reviewing everything. You can imagine the number of days that would take. So then, to you now doing your research, once your topic has been approved, to conducting your research, like going to the community, administering your questionnaire, getting the feedback from the community, getting your data, arranging your data, doing the data organization on the software that you want to use, analyzing your data, reporting your findings, comparing your findings with existing studies. You understand? Those processes and everything, like it actually takes days. But then, if you have your data set now, let's say you have your data set, and then you want to arrange to a particular software, let's say SPSS or R, it may take like 2 to 3 days for you to be able to organize it and then start your analysis. So, but then if you use AI, you can actually do your analysis in less than 1 hour. You understand? You just pump your data in there and then ask the AI to help you with analysis. Then you are done in the next 1 hour. So every process, every stages of research writing is actually hectic and take days. But then with the advent of AI, you can actually complete everything in no time.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. And I'm pleased to let you know that our audience, you've been getting accolades in the chat box. Everybody has been saying how they've gained so much and how all the questions they had were answered. Thank you for the brilliant presentation. So yeah, although our audience do not have any question for you, I have questions and you've answered some of my questions actually. So, but then there are still few I'm trying to get clarification on. So I want to know, like, are there examples of AI tools that researchers are using? I mean, that you are using for in any stage of writing process? Is there any AI you can recommend, like maybe like for literature search, for data analysis, for manuscript drafting? And this, I think there's this area that is now getting common for research. I think it's Zotero. Is it Zotero? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what. I think there's this AI that people are using nowadays, and Gemini too. So I want to know, like, is there anyone you can recommend, or is there anyone you think is good enough for us to pursue?
Okay, thank you for that question. Actually, will I say, okay, there's this particular AI that I use, I'm very familiar with, and that is Ryan. So there was this time I was trying to I was trying to do a study on systematic review, and then systematic review is actually rigorous. You trying to like screen articles, you may have like 2 3 thousand articles to screen, and you can imagine the number of days, months that would take for you to screen thousands of articles. But then there's this particular tool that I can recommend. It is Ryan. The name is Ryan. So the article is actually free of charge, and then you can use the articles to conduct that screening. So instead of you sitting down to read those articles, so the AI to Ryan will help in screening those articles, the eligible article for your research. Those that are not eligible, it will screen it out. Those that are eligible for that particular research question that you are trying to answer, it will retain those articles. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to save your time and then the stress involved in you trying to screen articles. So I also know of this site AI. So it's for literature review. I've heard about it and people have been using it. So it is spelled SCITE. So it is people are using that particular AI for literature review. There is also this Mendeley for reference management. If you want to arrange your references, if you want to for figure creations, you understand, for figure creations and automations, I think you use Baurenda. So Barenda is good for that. So, and then the popular ChatGPT, if you want to generate idea for your research, you can use it. So there are so many other AI tools that people can use for even data visualization, data analysis, or any aspect of research. So those are the AI tools.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so this question is personal. It's not personal. I believe everybody can learn from it. So I think there was a time I had a write-up. I mean, I did not use any AI in writing this, and when I tried using this, what do they call it? This AI detector or something. It was saying I used AI to write, which I did not. I mean, it was even giving me 70 or 60. How can we ensure that the use of AI, especially in scientific writing, does not? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so how can we ensure that the use of AI, because obviously, all this AI detector will just say you used AI, even though you did not use AI to generate your write-up. So how can we ensure that this process is fair and it does not penalize researchers for unintentional similarities, or maybe some phrases that are commonly used in AI, you are using it in your own writing, and it's giving you this common phrases that are being used in AI is in your writing, and it's giving you this it's flagging your research or penalizing it because of that. How can we ensure that this is not, how can we navigate our way around this? How can we avoid being penalized for what we did not do? Let me put it that way.
Okay. So that's a very good question, to be honest, because I was I was reading something on Twitter, I think sometime around last month, and someone raised this kind of similar issue that okay, she prepared a manuscript, she prepared a draft, and then when she runs the draft through Turnitin, then she was now saying that okay, some of the content were copied from AI. So so personally, this is what I would say. You see, you have to be very careful with the kind of people you are sending your draft to help you review. Like I said, AI do retain information. If you put information into data set into any AI, that information, from my observation, that information will be retained. If that information is retained, then it will stay in that data set. So if you are trying to check that, you know what Stoniton looks for, what this plagiarism tools check for is similarities in word patterns and all. So, and these words have been retained in AI. Possibly you send to someone to help you review, the person used AI to okay, review this draft. The information will be retained. So when you now check that kind of, when you try to check Turnitin or any other plagiarism tools to check if your draft is free of plagiarism, definitely it will not be free of plagiarism because the information has been retained. So first, you have to be very careful with the kind of people that get access to your drafts. So, and the second thing is the second issue about this plagiarism detection is we need to be, so the first is just to be careful with the kind of people that review for you, and then we need to be very careful with this kind of, there are some patterns that are very common to AI that are okay, like this particular, let's assume a particular model may be developed by a particular company, and then there are some terminologies and patterns in how the data set is fed. So if that kind of information, if that kind of pattern is identified by a plagiarism tool, then it will flag it as being plagiarized. But then, as an author, what we need to do is, if we are able to provide credit for the concepts that comes from other, which is not peculiar to AI. AI would definitely would not provide credit for the concept that comes from others. So this includes one is not basically just by repetition of words, but also the ideas that you get from others. So if you depend on AI to do your work to answer your question without assessing without buttressing it with what is coming from literature, then it will definitely flag it as plagiarism. But the important key aspect of, if you are able to write your draft yourself and you are very sure that what you wrote is not from AI, then I'll definitely tell you to go ahead with your submission. Just make sure you cite the relevant sources. And if you are sure of yourself that this is not AI generated, then you should go ahead with it. But then always make sure that you are not relying on a particular plagiarism tool. You may try to use multiple ones. For instance, I use multiple plagiarism tools. Even gone are the days I don't use AI. I don't use plagiarism tool to check my draft because I'm always very sure that, okay, what I'm writing is actually directly from me and I'm citing my source correctly. So I'm always very assured that my work would definitely not be flagged of plagiarism. So if you are able to, if you are sure of yourself that what you've written is not plagiarized, then you don't need to disturb yourself, and then be very, very careful of who you send your draft to. Because if you send it to someone who is very lazy, the person will just go ahead, pump it to AI, and then the AI will retain the information. So anywhere you are trying to check the information from, it will be flagged as plagiarism. It has happened to me, and I've seen that. So we just need to be careful as a researcher. That's what I can say.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. But then can we actually avoid the use of AI? I don't think so. I think we just
We
need to learn
cannot.
to adapt to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Hello, everyone. Can I say something in regards to the question?
Yes, yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Yusuf, for that wonderful presentation. I joined a bit late, but it was actually a very worthwhile presentation. And thanks to Aminat for the moderation and everyone on the platform. Just to provide my own answers or experiences, suggestion to the question you asked. First of all, I think I had one experience recent, not long ago, that a journal asked me to review, and they specifically mentioned that they don't want reviewers to subject the articles to any AI tools. So which actually affirm the proposed intuition of Yusuf saying that AI tools do retain information. So, and these are obviously very top journals, so they know that AI retains information. So, which means that don't even try to subject your articles or your write-up to any AI to fine-tune or to do grammar checks. Or we have AI tools that are meant for grammar checks, such as Grammarly, that will do that, just that one for you without any iota of issues regarding plagiarism and the likes. Then secondly is that many people do make these mistakes. Because Yusuf makes some clarifications about the fact that AI are meant to assist us and to give insights, but they are not to do the job. You still have to do that job yourself. And in speaking into this, many people do make this mistake. When you make use of AI, even in generating ideas, you don't copy verbatim. The moment you copy verbatim, it's going to flag it off when you subject it to AI checker as AI. So you have to sit down, look at what AI is giving in terms of generating idea, and come up with your own idea. You can obviously use that one as a basic, as a foundation for what you want to do. But you still have to sit down and type what you want yourself. The word typed is capitalized. Like many people, because of AI and all, because of the advent of AI, tends to be more lazy, just copy and paste, even with AI formatting looks and type. But you have to sit down and type anything you are doing. You have to type one after the other. And that is what we actually distinguish AI written articles to human. Then secondly, I think what I said now cannot be oversized, because sometimes when I check some articles, I just like, this is an AI written article. But when you generate the ideas, you try as much as possible. It's your own idea. You generated the idea with AI, with the help of AI, but you want to change the narrative. So it means that you have to type it. You have to type it out, change some things, sit down, think about what you've written, where AI has generated for you. If it is okay with you, go. You have many directions you can go, not just relying and copy formatting from what AI is generated for you. Then secondly is the subjecting your write-up to AI. For me personally, most of the AI tools, I think journals now uses Turnitin has this feature now that if it is AI generated, it's going to flag it up. And the way Turnitin works, even references that within your articles, you just still flag them that as being plagiarized. But one thing that is certain, just as you have said, is that if you are very sure of the way you write, you would start down to actually write what you are doing. You wrote your first paragraph, it took you 2 hours, then you come back. So I feel like there's no need to even subject to any AI checker. Just go ahead and do your thing if you are very confident about what you've done. So it shows that you've dedicated quite some multiple amount of time to what you're writing, and it shows that you know what you're writing. It's such a pity that the advent of AI makes people, like when you ask them that, what have you written, they barely will be able to say one or two things about the written, because it was just generated. And prompting is also something that some people have single-handedly masterminded how to prompt AI tools to give them what they want, which of course it's actually a very good skill set. But as I said, I will always say that they are meant to aid and make our work much more easier, not to represent us on that particular job role or work. Yeah, so thank you
Not
so
to
much.
make us intellectually lazy.
Exactly. I think that's just the perfect. So whenever you write and you actually sat down to write your work yourself, and it's going to speak volume. If somebody that knows you very well, that have been reading you write, that, oh, this is actually written by him, this is actually written by her, they will be able to picture that into the right. I think of now and say most of the personal statement and statement of purpose for graduate school are also being subjected to Turnitin, because I read one statistics of recent on the Quora that one professor that was privileged to review articles, he said that almost about 95% of the submissions are AI generated, and that's actually quite disheartening and embarrassing, even when some people, even when they originally owned the idea. But the fact that maybe sometimes maybe it happens, it's an imposter syndrome, you might tend to subject your articles to AI. Whereas if you come naturally, they will know genuinely that it is actually from you, because the professor was actually expatiating on the fact that those that he actually selected are those that were natural. There were not any verbose words, there were not any big words. It was just what they've written based on their experiences that actually so they know. lecturers know, professors know, people in academics know when you actually write with AI tools. So I think with this, we were able to like pick one or two things as regards how to ethically use AI for our work. You know, I think I used to emphasize that you have to type. That's what many people have actually they've lost over time. When you're using AI, you just copy, pin, and you paste. That's all. You have to sit down and still type anything you are writing. So, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Okay, thank
much,
you.
Habib, for your thoughtful comments. Thank you so, so much. And honestly, what you said is, I don't even think I have anything to negate it. The dangers of blindly accepting AI's output is very, very, especially in this world of today where everybody is using AI. In fact, literally everyone is using AI. So yeah, I can only imagine what the future would hold for AI and research. And yeah, this is a very, very important one. And thank you for even giving us your experience of when you wanted to review and how they strictly mentioned the use of AI being not being accepted. Thank you so much. And well, I think we've come to the end of the session. But if anyone else, does anyone have question or comments? If you'd like to give an additional input as well, it's welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aminat, for moderating the session, and Yusuf for your wonderful and informative presentation. It really highlighted a lot of the ethical values of research and where we are now at navigating all this deep AI research. And this again reminds us that the mission of the Mentoring Research Network is to cultivate the next generation of researchers through mentorship and ethical guidance. And in this age where the lines between humans and machine authorship, and I really like your emphasis, Yusuf, on this topic of the authenticity of the authorship and the role in publication. This line is increasingly blurred. The Mentoring Research Network really aims to provide the critical thinking skills and ethical frameworks and intellectual rigor needed to navigate this complex terrain. So thank you so much for contributing to this topic, Yusuf, and Aminat for your deeply thoughtful questions, and Habibullah for your engaging ideas from your position as an editor-in-chief. And also thank you so much, Yomnia, from Cairo University. We really enjoyed engaging with you through this session, and wishing that you can join us in our upcoming sessions, inshallah, next month. And I'd also like to welcome MRN co-director Samuel Abimbola. He's really concerned about the ethical challenges of the AI. Samuel, we have officially finished our sessions. So if you have any final thoughts about this topic, you are welcome to unmute and share your thoughts.
Good evening, Dr. Mona. Sincere apologies for coming in late. I had a last-minute conflict time-wise, and I had to attend to another meeting along with Professor Chris. I know the meeting is over today. I would follow up through the recording, and I'm positive it was an interesting session.
Thank you so much, Samuel. And until next time, stay tuned and take great care of yourself. Bye.